Cinematic Multimedia CD Sampler. Okay, so it's his Interplay CD sampler. But it's got a lot of classic shit on here. And Mario teaches typing, so let's take a look in here. Oh, look at that. To protect the CD. Well, let's look at the back. Yeah, look at that. Look at them screenshots. Look at Mario in SimCity. Man, I really wish I got my fucking tripod out for this. But this is the fun part. We're gonna have a good time. It's kind of crazy to think that... Oh fuck, I lost my place. That this was the quality of stuff Interplay was putting out. I mean, they were putting out some of the best games. Also some of the worst games, you know, quantity. Sometimes quantity occasionally has quality. I mean, SimCity was probably a few years old at this point. Castles 2, come on, there we go. Oh man, Mario teaches typing. Don't forget customer support. This fucking sampler itself probably cost $30 back in the day. You know, those mom and pop computer stores, they'd sell this shit. So yeah, some intense shit. IP demo. Oh shit. Get into it. It's like the desk told me to do something, but what? It's in there, I don't know. Uh-oh. What we got?
CD demoing the best in multimedia entertainment.
All right. Oh, okay. We got some stuff here.
Castles 2 Enhanced CD-ROM. More than 40 intricate subplots will test your kingly decision-making, creating dozens of new challenges. Classic film footage from Alexander Nevsky on the private life of Henry VIII. Over 5 hours of digitized speech by top Hollywood talent will involve you in all the politics, frolic, and treachery of the 14th century. Easy point-and-click icon interface. An original musical score reflects the many moods of medieval life. Over 30 minutes of BBC footage show you how and why castles were planned, constructed, besieged, and attacked prior to the age of gunpowder.
Fucking, alright, let's do it. Fuck it. There's too much footage. Alright. Yep. That's good. S. Wow. Looks like we're gonna be playing Castles 2. I was like, what the fuck is this? Today, forever. Or for like 25 seconds.
To reign, 1311. The castle of King Charles of Britannia.
Mixing, you guys, come on.
I have grave news. King Charles is dead.
Oh, shit.
The news spread as quickly as a plague. King Charles of Britannia was dead.
How could he die, man?
An heir. All through Britannia and Europe, Local lords gathered their forces to stake claim on the throne of Britannia, or to support someone else's claim, with hopes their support would be remembered. Civil war was the most terrible of all. It could haunt a nation for generations. Battles were bloody.
The horse is fucking red.
Poor leaders destroyed even the finest of armies. There was only one force strong enough to give a nation stability in these dark times. Fortresses strong enough.
They're doing a good job with the sound blaster.
To become
Unless
king,
that's
you must conquer
CD.
castles, siege, and conquest.
Holy fuck, man! Get hype. After this is what Mario teaches typing. Thank you, son. Alright, what the fuck?
The Normans built the first proper castles after the invasion of 1066. They needed bases from where they
Yeah,
could
this is they're running this from the CD.
and strongholds to protect themselves from Saxon attack. These strongholds were also their homes. The castles had to be built in a hurry, so they were made of timber and placed on top of an earth mound called a motte, with a courtyard below known as a bailey. 2 years after the Battle of Hastings, William the
I'm going to be
Conqueror
careful
built
with
a
this
modern
stuff. I
bailey
think this is the
castle
only one I'm
built
going to
on-
watch.
That's
Because I bet
all
this
that
is
remains of that early
copyrighted
castle,
all the hell.
the motte. The Bayeux tapestry shows us the big disadvantage of those early castles. Attackers could easily set fire to the wooden palisades and buildings. So the castle builders began to use stone instead. The first thing was to build a stone wall around the bailey in place of the wooden palisades, and then to build another stone wall on top of the motte. This was called a shell keep. But the earth on top of the motte often couldn't take the weight of a strong tower. So they built a keep in the bailey instead. And for added safety, the entrance to this was at first floor level up a flight of steps. It wasn't very comfortable living in the keep, so eventually the lords moved out into proper houses in the bailey. This meant that they weren't so well protected, so the walls had to be strengthened even more. Of course, the weakest part of any castle was the entrance. You needed a really strong gatehouse, and even an outer gate or barbican.
Jesus.
Edward I added an extra ring of walls around his castles.
Huh?
Always
Too many
lower
fucking
in
walls.
place than the inner walls. Round the whole thing, there was often a moat. Of course, many castles couldn't have a water-filled moat because they were too high up. Like at Warwick, where the River Avon was too far below the castle to fill the moat. So another solution had to be found. This dry moat, or rather this ditch, isn't nearly as deep as it used to be. But then it must have been a major obstacle for any would-be attacker. And rightly so.
Okay, so castles are cool. What's this?
Now let's take a look at this tower.
Oh. It's not. What's this? Glossary. We're learning about castles today, ladies and gentlemen. I think. Oh. Click. Murder holes. Alright, we won. No. So, Oh, look, it marks where you've been. Alright, designs.
Of all the Welsh castles built by King Edward I, Carnarvon was the most important. Carnarvon was begun in 1283 and meant to be the capstone of Edward's successful Welsh campaign. Not just a mighty fortress, but a seat of government and a source of propaganda. It was based on castles from Byzantium, then the center of the world, which was meant to give it additional authority and recognition. Carnarvon was to be the symbol of English authority in Wales. To this end, Edward made certain that his young son, the future Edward II, would be born there. The infant Edward was given the official title Prince of Wales, which has been the title for the heir to the English throne ever since. While the castle was being built, Madoc, son of the former Welsh king Llewellyn the Great, mustered an army and rebelled against the English. Carnarvon, still under construction, was razed to the ground. After quelling the rebellion and sending Madoc to the Tower dungeon, Edward set about rebuilding the castle, a task that took 40 years at a cost of what was then the extravagant price of £19,000. Carnarvon's design includes features that reflect a paranoia that can only be explained by a previous military failure, in this case, Madoc's rebellion. To gain entrance to Carnarvon, an attacker had to first cross the bridge over its moat, then pass through 5 heavy doors and 6 portcullises. Heavy iron gates were suspended over these portcullises, perfect for dropping on the heads of an unsuspecting army. Its eastern gate was defended by a double gatehouse, and all of the walls of Carnarvon were angled so crossfire could hit every part of the surrounding ground.
Carnarvon is not concentric. It's got only a single line of curtain walling, but inside that
holy fuck, look at that thing.
Of wall passage running all around the castle. And these give access to arrow slits sited at all the vital points. This castle cost double that of Conway, and even 50 years of building left the domestic quarters unfinished. But the defences had received special attention. And here's something which is nearer to a medieval machine gun than I can possibly imagine. It's very ingenious indeed. There's an arrow slit on the outside wall there, another one there, which can be fired through, both of them, by one archer in that direction and in that direction. But more ingenious still is this. The next hole there can be served by 3 skillful archers, all firing at the same time through one hole on the outside. One of them fires through there, another centrally there, and the third through there. Ingenious, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, I mean, aren't those holes big enough to have multiple archers? You know, if you're just doing, if you're doing a fucking, you know, a strategy. No. If you're doing a like machine gun analogy, right? It's for suppression, so
this unhappy place was built in 1271.
You could theoretically just stack
Southern Wales,
fucking 50 people up there, and one shoots and moves on to, like, you do like a line, right? Shoot, you know, get your next arrow ready, then move to the next hole, and you just continue going as they rotate.
The castle passed through several hands, eventually returning.
You do 5 million. This is like
Edward later reinvaded Glamorgan, recaptured the land,
a constant stream, or, you know, like, again, big enough for like a couple people to shoot through at the same time.
Edward's notoriously unfaithful wife Isabella in a rebellion. Edward was forced to take refuge in Caerphilly, where he was soon captured, deposed in favor of his young son
That's
Edward
sad,
III,
man. What a depressing story.
and murdered.
Holy fuck.
The Earl of Gloucester, who built Caerphilly, was extremely proud of his castle for reasons that are obvious to anyone who visits it. The defensive strength of this design was its concentric structure. Like the great fortresses of the infidels in the Middle East, Caerphilly has a concentric castle design. To attack this castle, you would have to go through one strongly defended wall, and once you had taken this wall, you would have to attack a second, even more strongly defended wall.
Goddamn.
Adding to the difficulties were the double gatehouses on the east and west of Caerphilly. Also on the east was an extensive forebuilding, or barbican. And if these difficulties were not enough, the entire castle was surrounded by a broad lake.
That's all that's left.
Imagine you were leading a Welsh army trying to capture Caerphilly Castle. Let's say you've marched here without losing too many men on the way. You're camped all around the castle, and you're trying to work out the best way to attack the enemy inside. The only way in is across that deep moat to the drawbridge and its defending gatehouse. But the drawbridge is up. And this wooden grille, the portcullis, is down. The gatehouse is bristling with soldiers. Wherever you look, there's either open water where your men are exposed to arrows, or there's stone, strong walls and stronger towers, all bursting with the enemy who are well protected on the battlements and behind the arrow slits. What can you do? You decide to risk the lives of your men, and you give the order, attack. You've already lost a lot of men on the first assault. Some of you get through the gatehouse to the outer ward. Oh no, what have we here? Another gatehouse, and you're pretty well trapped. From the high inner towers and walls, the missiles are raining fast and furious. This is turning out to be a massacre.
It'd be hard to siege that too. That's a whole little fucking land.
Continue. Attack this gatehouse as well.
Take over the town. Ignore the castle.
Through these, the enemy is hurling rocks, spears, arrows, and anything else he can find to try and stop your advance.
Extreme close-up.
But after fierce fighting and a lot of luck, at last you're through. Not many left by now of your original army. You burst into this, the inner ward, the heart of the castle, and you fight hand to hand with the best of the enemy's troops. Imagine it. The shouts, the screams, the clash of sword on sword, the blood running everywhere, bodies falling dead all around you. Only after all this can you truly say you have captured the castle. Now all you have to do is defend it against others.
Yeah. That's the, how many of these are there? Alright. 2 more. Put these in Elden Ring.
Hill, the Castle of Lost Causes, was yet another of the Welsh castles of Edward I, and one of the strongest. Harlech was built on a cliff, and as Edward did not expect an enemy army to climb a cliff, he built Harlech with the largest and most impressive gatehouses of all his fortresses. Harlech did not fall during Edward's day or for many years after. In the 14th century, Harlech was used as a base by Owen Glendower, a powerful Welsh noble who rebelled against Henry V and was slaughtered by him. Edmund Mortimer, the Earl of March, soon took over Harlech and the rebellion, but died of exhaustion in 1409. Harlech was the scene of many battles during the War of the Roses and the English Civil War. Both times, the side which held Harlech lost. It was for that reason that Harlech came to be known as the Castle of Lost Causes. Harlech was modeled after Caerphilly, with its concentric structure that forced an enemy to go through 2 lines of defense. However, in Harlech, there is not one inner ward, but two. The east entrance is protected by a huge moat and a remarkably large gatehouse. Most of the castle is built on Castle Rock, a steep and inaccessible cliff. While Harlech may have been the castle of lost causes, no one could deny its strength, and surely no enemy could have looked upon its large stone face without trepidation.
Okay. Well, why did that matter? Alright, whatever. I guess it's
Here
gameplay
and the
for you.
rest embodied the very latest thinking in defense, not only in Britain, but in Europe too. Using the
Look at that
imagination
fucking
of
thing.
a highly gifted artist, Alan Sorrell, we can take that leap back in time to visualize the imposing power of Harlech Castle.
Oh, is it mostly gone? Or is it all gone? We're gonna find
Even
out.
after emasculation by time and weather,
Oh,
and
it's
scarring by many battles past,
still there.
the gatehouse of Harlech
Jesus.
still throws down its haughty challenge for all comers. To the 13th century visitor,
That looks
it
fucking cool.
presented a daunting prospect indeed. And across this ditch, between two stone towers, a stone bridge, with a drawbridge at either end. This is where the pivots of the inner one would have been. So as the drawbridge rose up, its rear end came down into this pit underneath me here. This brings us up to the gatehouse. And now for the gate passage. And here there would have been a pair of massive wooden doors closing in, secured by a drawbar, heavy drawbar across there. And now a portcullis, worked by a man in the room above. And as I advance towards the next obstacle, I'm very fully aware of the crossbowmen behind those arrow slits. And just look up there. You've got to use your imagination, but just suppose the arch complete, across the arch planks, in the planks trapdoors. They are murder holes. And they had a double purpose. First, to shower projectiles, missiles, boiling water, whatever you like, onto unwelcome visitors. And second, to pour water, this time cold water, onto fires that might be started against the gates. And now for a second portcullis and a second group of doors with a drawbar. And another portcullis, and another door, another drawbar, all cunningly arranged so that anyone coming in could be isolated while his credentials were checked by closing the barrier behind before opening the one.
What are these people just doing, walking around? It looks like everyone's on a mission, like no one's like looking at... Okay, a couple people have stopped on the stairway.
Careful planning and strong walls did the rest.
Is that they're not there for the tour, they're there to get their fucking morning walk in. Warwick.
Warwick Castle, one of the great old castles of England, was started by William the Conqueror in 1068. William later gave the castle to Henry de Newburgh, grandson of the first Earl of Warwick, and thus the castle came into the possession of one of the most influential families in English history.
Oh yeah?
Warwick Castle was designed and built during several periods, starting in 1068 under William the Conqueror, and assorted towers and fortifications were added to the castle during building periods that lasted into the late 14th century. Warwick Castle, like most Norman castles, does not have a moat and relies on its heavy fortifications to protect it. To enter from the north, an attacker must pass through a barbican, which is itself protected by several gates. And once in the inner ward, an attacker would have the formidable task of of assaulting its two great towers.
The 11th Earl of Warwick, Thomas Beecham, was a famous knight. He commanded part of the army at the battles of Crecy in 1346 and Poitiers 10 years later, two of the greatest English victories in the 100 Years' War. Just look at Thomas Beecham's handiwork. Imagine.
Well, let's go from the outside.
Thomas had obviously picked up a lot of ideas about castle defence when he was fighting in France. At Warwick, Richard III started to build a keep with gun ports to fire cannon in defence. Richard died in 1485, soon after building was begun, and no one ever bothered to finish this keep. Why? Well, because castle defence just didn't matter anymore. In fact, that was true 100 years earlier, in Earl Thomas's time. England was a much more peaceful place by then, and Earl Thomas just didn't expect to be attacked. Look how thin that wall is. Scarcely any defence against the...
He just made it to look cool, I guess.
Earl Thomas had seen many impressive castles when he was campaigning in France. And he just wanted to copy them. And he
Okay.
built himself a superb place to live. Luxurious, comfortable, and much more of a home than a fortress. The front of the castle is in fact just a spectacular front door, and in the 14th century it would have been even more exciting to look at. The castle would have had tall turrets.
Dude did just because he could. How about that, yeah?
The high roofs would have had gilded weather vanes and great coats of arms. Even the walls on the outside may have been painted. Gradually, as castles began to lose their military importance, people didn't want to live in them anymore. They just weren't comfortable enough. But some people continued to build spectacular homes like this, not for defensive reasons, just to show off.
I mean, that's about what they're good for. Yeah, I guess we're gonna. Like, what?
Welcome to the tutorial for Castles 2, Siege and Conquest. This is the strategic map. Here we see the land of Britannia as we know it. Only one territory, the realm of Van, is known to us. The others, including those of our enemies and the Pope, are unknown.
Goddamn Pope?
Icons at the top of the screen
Neutral
show
party,
the
huh?
status of our empire. These are clustered in 3 groups. From left to right, these groups represent our ability points, our army strength, and our stockpiles. The wooden planks to the right are our task bars. The more ability points you have, the more you can get done at one time. You get work done by running tasks, which will be explained in a moment. The ability points are divided into 3 categories: administrative, military, and political. Administrative elements are color-coded green. Military elements are red, and political elements are blue. This color scheme is used throughout the game on buttons, icons, and taskbars. The 2 numbers in each of the 3 color-coded groups represent the number of ability points not currently in use on the top, and the total ability points available in the given area on the bottom. Think of this as representing the fraction of total resources available for starting new tasks. Administrative skills include gathering resources and constructing castles. Military tasks include raising an army, attacking or sabotaging a neighbor, and building engines of war. Political tasks include scouting neighboring territories, spying, and sending diplomats to neighbors. The army includes 3 types of basic units: infantry, archers, and knights. Later in the game, you can also build catapults, siege towers, and other engines of war. Infantry are easy to recruit and important in attacking castles. They are best at hand-to-hand fighting or scaling castle walls. Archers attack from a distance with their arrows. They are most effective when firing from castle walls or from behind a protective shield of infantry. They are poor hand-to-hand fighters and tend to be ineffective in forests. Knights are the most powerful fighters. They are devastatingly strong in open terrain or against castle entrances, but they are very poor when in swamps and can be neutralized by focused archer fire. They are also expensive to recruit and maintain. The stockpiles contain 4 types of units. From left to right, these are food, timber, iron, and gold. Food is necessary to maintain an army and to keep the people happy. It is also an essential ingredient when building a castle. Timber is needed for archers, to manufacture their bows and arrows, and for the construction of siege engines. It is also used in the building of castles. Iron is needed for infantry weapons and for knights, as well as for castles. Gold is needed for everything. It greases the wheels of commerce and ensures that the army remains loyal. The wooden planks to the right of the strategic map are our task bars. These show what we are trying to do with our ability points. For example, they show when we are building a castle or recruiting new military units. Task bars are separated into 3 groups: administrative, military, and political. A maximum of 2 tasks of any given type can be done at one time. At the beginning of the game, only 1 of each task is allowed. Every action in the game is a task. To gain information about our neighbors, we can run a scout task. To attack them, we run an attack task. There are 4 gathering tasks, 1 for each of the 4 resources. Similarly, there are recruit tasks for every type of military unit. And of course, there is a build castle task. Tasks can be started in several ways. We can select an enemy territory and click a button to spy, attack, scout, and more. Or we can click on one of the buttons above the wooden door on the right and gather resources, send diplomats, or make our people happy, to name a few. For a shortcut, we can even click on the army and stockpile icons at the top of the screen. Each taskbar displays the ability points applied to its task, and a bar which represents the percentage of completion for the task. As more ability points are applied, the task is completed faster, or the resources are gathered more quickly. Plenty of shortcuts are provided for tasks, which are described in detail in the manual. For now, just watch and learn from this tutorial. You now know enough to get started. Let's play a sample game. Playing as Albion, we start in the territory of Vannes, shown by the yellow outline. We will try to seal off Normandy and Brittany in the upper left corner from enemy attack. Our neighbors will be Anjou below us and Valois in the upper right corner of the map. Anjou has few secure borders and will grab as much territory as possible. Valois will secure his corner and expand aggressively toward us. Always scout first. Our first scouts show our immediate neighbor to the south to be the Pope. Be glad that we looked before attacking. Anjou is on the far side of the Pope, so we are safe from him for now. The first visitor to our humble abode is a papal messenger requesting a donation. The Pope is the key to winning the game, so we must make him happy. But we can always try to haggle first. Unfortunately, this time we gambled and lost. We got off to a quick start and built an extra archer unit. We are now attacking Rouen in an attempt to reach Amiens before Valois gets there. Notice that the task bars are always busy. In particular, we are gathering plenty of wood, which can be traded later if we need something else. We are also scouting constantly. We now know that we have everything that we need in our neighboring lands, if we can get there in time. Keep your people happy. Happy people are much better warriors. We want to reach a happiness of 9 as soon as possible. We are now ready to attack Rouen. We click Proceed and enter into battle. This is the tactical screen. It shows a close-up of a large area of central Rouen with its small band of brave defenders. Our units are in blue. Our opponent, being the defender, has chosen a position deep in a forest. Our archers will be less effective there. We split our forces into 2 squads, which will charge toward the center and attempt to crush the enemy flanks by drawing them into a 2-front battle. We click the begin button. The battle is on. After a few moments, the enemy is drawn in 2 different directions, and one archer at the top is by himself, unprotected. Here's a useful hint. At any point in the game, holding down the right mouse button will speed up gameplay. Our brave soldiers on the southern flank came under heavy attack. The enemy infantry wiped out our infantry. Fortunately, our archers' deadly fire has helped us eliminate all but one of them. Up north, Our infantry sweep downward, dispatching enemy archers with their overwhelming hand-to-hand strength. We won, at a price. Defenders of neutral territories are vicious fighters and almost always fight until none remain, since they are defending their native lands. Back on the main map, a new territory has been marked as ours. Our conquest of Britannia has begun. The truly brave adventurer may wish to take control of the game now. To end this tutorial and begin playing this game of Castles 2, click the play button. Otherwise, click continue to move on to the next phase of the tutorial. Our first task was to rebuild our army and press onward to another territory. We now have 3 infantry and 4 archers and are starting an attack. We have scouted our target and it looks free so far, but it is close to Anjou's lands, so he may be interested in its gold if he does not have any nearby. Notice the task bars and the number of free ability points in each of our 3 areas. We are using every available resource. Also, notice that our administrative level has risen to 5 and our military level to 4. We are now about to attack Maine. But wait, something is wrong here. This territory is not neutral after all. Even though we scouted it only moments ago, our information is already out of date. Anjou beat us to it. This will not stop us, however. Onward to battle. So much for the army of Anjou. He is hopelessly outnumbered. In this battle, we see our 4 archers and 3 infantry units doubled, and see Anjou's 1 archer and 2 infantry. Be careful when evaluating his apparent weakness, however. Anjou actually has 2 archers and 4 infantry, but only half of those forces are available for his defense. If he attacks us later, we will have half of our army, and he will outnumber us. Medieval battles were often bloody. Our forces automatically took up an effective formation and closed for the kill. As predicted, we made quick work of Anjou's forces. Once again, you may take control of this game or continue with the tutorial. To take control, click the play button. Otherwise, click continue to move on to the next phase of the tutorial. Now that the initial borders of our empire are set, we must secure our lands by building a castle. This will protect us from invaders and suppress the natural tendency of our people to revolt against us. We will build a large castle so that both this territory and those surrounding it will be safe from revolts. A smaller castle would only safeguard this territory and not its neighbors. But we must first build up our cash reserves. We are building reserves for our first castle. Thanks to clever planning, we are using resources at top efficiency. We have deliberately de-emphasized our military tasks. We need to save money and resources. Now we design our castle. To visit the territory, we simply click on it, move to the territory status display at the lower right of the screen, and click the Visit button. Now we choose a site for our castle. Click on the Design button. We can either design a castle or load a previous design from the disk. We must first place our keep, designated by a waving red flag. The keep is the command center of the castle, its lord's home, and the last bastion of defense in an attack. Our design is similar to Beaumaris Castle, a simple yet effective design rated at 109 points. We could have reviewed the castle plans in the design book on this disc, reading about their advantages and disadvantages. They offer historically accurate advantages, such as increased happiness or impenetrable gatehouses. We are now ready to build a castle. Clicking on Rouen after returning from the design screen, we find that a Build Castle button has appeared. Clicking on the Build Castle button, we allocate every available ability point to the task. Now we want to conquer the territories which we sealed off earlier in the game, so we can double our acquisition of gold and gain the food needed to feed our troops in the fall. We have therefore started an attack task against Brittany. You may now take control of this game if you wish. To take control,
told me I can't.
click the play button.
See?
Otherwise, click continue. Let's take a quick look at our relations. We have very few friends. Perhaps we should begin acting like good neighbors, at least for a while. Making deals with diplomats can help prevent attacks against us. Always.
Why is everybody in such a bad
mood? If we had not
mood?
obtained gold well in advance of payday, we would have lost an archer now. As it stands, we now have just barely enough to pay the troops. Let's attack Brittany. It's a rout. We'll press the right-hand mouse button to speed up the playback until we return to the main map screen. Sadly, all is not well in our kingdom. A routine look at Van has revealed that the inhabitants are on the verge of revolt. We are fortunate to be building a castle in the neighboring territory of Rouen. But will it be completed in time? Valois is attacking us in Maine. We were too slow to send diplomats. Now
That's
we'll
a
pay the
shame.
price. We will attempt to leave our enemy bogged down in a pond, attack from safe and dry ground. This should allow our archers more time to do their work. Even if we lose this battle, we might do some damage to the enemy's forces. We are seriously outnumbered. Our only hope is to attack, do some damage, and escape before we are completely ravaged. There is no hope now. Our infantry have been lost. Our archers are no match for the enemy infantry. You may now take control of this game if you wish. To take control, despite our recent unfriendly activities, Valois wants to make peace.
And this
and
feels
he
like
is
something
willing
I'm
to
just gonna
haggle.
play for like 5
He
minutes
must think
tops.
that we are a
This
threat to him.
just seems
castle
like
in Rouen
a
is
weird
now
fucking
complete.
experience.
All of our territories, except Brittany, are safe from revolt. In addition, we gain doubled iron production, which we now need in order to rebuild our army. Now we press on to Normandy. Once again, it's a rout.
Shit, they're
You
pressing
may now
on.
take control of this game if you wish. To take control,
That
click
was
the
it for
play
that
button.
tutorial.
Our diplomat failed in his mission, but at least we tried. A saboteur has
What a
visited
fucking
us.
failure.
Probably from Valois, this evil fiend damaged our vital castle in Rouen. Now it is no longer able to protect us from revolts in its neighboring territories. Rather than repair our first castle, we will construct an entirely new castle in Brittany. Brittany is a marshland. The entrance of our castle faces into the marsh, leaving attackers vulnerable to our archers as they plod through it. Once again, we survived paying the troops, but only because we planned ahead and stockpiled more than enough to feed them. Note that we only have 3 grain. A saboteur arrived moments ago, hoping to weaken us by attacking our grain stockpiles just at our weakest moment. Luckily, though, we had stockpiled 1 extra grain, and our army is not in danger. This is the end of our tutorial. To take control of the game now, click the play button. To exit,
Does it work this
click
time?
the done button.
Shit, I guess we can't do it. All right, game. So we have 3 years. So we have 3 years, right? Okay. What's happening? Okay. Hey, what happened? Oh shit. What's going on?
Sire, one of our mine tunnels collapsed today. Some of the men were injured while they were trying to escape. Regrettably, some of the miners are still trapped. The foundry is shut down and we have lost nearly a quarter of our iron supply. I will gather a group of strong men to accompany me.
And then well, think about it this way: if we can't, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we sucked at mining iron, so that wasn't much of a loss. I don't fucking know. How much food do I have? Oh, god damn it! That's more than enough food. Yeah. it's attack.
Sire, my father asked me to come and inform you that the men trapped in the mine are now freed. But the tunnel completely collapsed, and the vein to which it led is no longer accessible. It was the richest vein we had. We feel that we may be able to unblock it if we can afford to hire more workers. This will cost 1 gold.
Fuck it.
Very shrewd move, sire. That vein contains a massive amount of iron.
Battle, motherfucker. Fuck it. Damn straight. This is like, this isn't like a stronghold. This is like, what was it, Dominion? Alright, I got food. This is... Whoops. I don't know what I'm doing. Shit. This is fucked up. Oh shit. Alright, let's fix this. this, this is silly. It's like hard to tell. Alright. Oh, whoops. Test. What do you mean not? I am confused. Keep it inaccessible. How do I make a door? Okay. Unsupported wall. Where? Alright, I don't know what it means by unsupported wall, but okay. Okay, I better know what it is, alright. Fuck. It's how you video game. What the fuck? What's it mean? Unsupported wall. What's it mean? Okay. God damn it. Oh shit, what happened?
Sire, falling debris has destroyed another fraction of our iron supply. The situation is looking very bleak. The foundry is engulfed in a tremendous cloud of dust. Please, sire.
This is the
we
problem.
desperately need your guidance.
Fucking solve the problem.
Supplies are much needed.
Jesus. No. Scout. Oh shit, the Pope. Can't attack the Pope. Not yet, anyway.
Earlier today, there was another mine collapse. When the dust settled, we discovered a new vein of iron. It is worth 3 gold. 3 gold! 3 gold! 3 gold! Sire, I also wish to petition you for additional supplies to allow us to complete our cleanup and return to a normal routine. This will be a day of great joy and celebration, sire.
That's fucking great.
News is spreading about the glorious achievements of your people under your rule. Their contentment is growing.
Sir, I hate to complain, but this celebration has lasted far too long. Please tell these rude men to get back to work. I knew you'd see it.
Oh shit, what are they doing? They're roughhousing? You guys have this. Alright, let's do this right this time. Make it as small as possible. Okay. Oh, what the fuck? I want to be fancy. It's not gonna let me be fancy. Oops.
Sawyer, I have been unable to obtain iron from the foundry. The workers refuse to work until the conditions are improved. They say the mine is unsafe. Production has come to a complete stop. Thank you for your support. Sawyer, we are back in full operation.
Thank you, Scout. What a shame. What's happening? Oh shit. Oh fuck. This has gone south real quick. And oh my god. Again. Fuck it, begin. We must reclaim our territory. Oh, what's happening? Fuck you. What happened? Is it game over? What the fuck? What happened?